So last night I drove to Clackamas County, Oregon. It's about 35 minutes south of me, where there was a town hall hosted by my Senator Ron Wyden and the Congresswoman from that district, Janelle Bynum. She is a freshman member of Congress. That town hall was packed, and I did a comprehensive breakdown about what happened there. You can go to my main account on TikTok to watch it. It's a 3-part series, or you can go to my YouTube, Parkrose Permaculture, where I have all 3 of those videos put together in one long video, and you can watch my breakdown there. But before the town hall started, I asked folks on Blue Sky, if I pull a ticket and I get to ask a question of the senator and the congresswoman, what should I ask? Now, I don't know how y'all do town halls in your state. A lot of you have absolute cowards for representatives who refuse to host town halls at all. Or they might do a telephone town hall, which is really just like a lecture and people can't speak and they won't look at their constituents face to face, especially right now. Republicans are canceling their town halls all over the place because they are afraid of their constituents, because they know what they are doing is hurting Americans and they will not dare come and look you in the eye. There was a veteran that was thrown out of a Republican town hall recently. A veteran dragged out of a town hall. There are elderly folks standing up at Republican town hall saying, I'm worried about my Social Security, and they're just being completely dismissed. And then there are loads and loads and loads of Republicans who are just not having town halls at all because they're chicken shit cowards. But here in Oregon, regular town halls are kind of a hallmark of how we do politics. In fact, this town hall was Senator Wyden's 1,108th town hall of his career. It is the 3rd town hall of his I have been to since Trump was inaugurated. For all of the ways that I am critical of establishment politicians and for all of the ways I get frustrated when Ron often gives kind of political non-answers, he does like to meet with the people. He does show up, and I feel that he follows through with his constituents. So here in Oregon, we have a ticket system, right? You get a ticket when you go in. If your ticket gets pulled, then you get the microphone and you get to ask a question. We're looking at town halls with 1,000, 1,300, 1,600 people at them. So it's very different than some of these rural town halls you are seeing on YouTube, where there might be a few dozen people or maybe a couple of hundred. The Oregonian town halls that I attend are huge. They are packed out. And so it can't just be a free-for-all. Now, I understand Bernie has like 8, 9, 25,000 people at his Stop Oligarchy Tour rallies. And he just like points to people and is like, speak your mind. Tell me what you're thinking. And he listens and he echoes their words back to them and he speaks into their concerns. But in Oregon, we do the ticket system and we have this understanding that we don't talk over people. Somebody might stand up and ask a question that we politically disagree with. We listen to them and we let our electeds respond. Although I have to say, there was a lot more heckling last night than I have ever seen at a town hall before. People were really angry, and there was talking over the congresswoman in particular. Okay, so getting back to my point here, I asked folks what I should ask if I get my ticket pulled, and I did not. So I want to read 2 of my questions. I always have a couple backup questions in case somebody who goes before me asks what I had intended to ask, but I didn't get my ticket pulled at all. And I think that my questions are still really important. And I called and left messages for the senator with those questions this morning. And then you can always write them down on a piece of paper. You can email them, and I will be emailing them when I get off of making this video. Now, I want to preface this first question by saying I called and spoke to my Congresswoman Maxine Dexter's aide about this exact thing this morning, and we had a lengthy conversation. So I'm going to read my bit here and let you know that even though Janelle Bynum is not my Congresswoman, I did raise this with my Congresswoman's staff, and they did have a lot to say about it. I did not get to ask this question at the town hall, and unfortunately nobody else raised this issue, but I think it is one that is really, really important that we get our electeds on the record about. So let me read it. 14 representatives in Congress recently signed a letter demanding the release of legal resident Mahmoud Khalil, who was abducted from his home and is being illegally held in Louisiana. Less than a week ago, 5 American citizens, all children, one undergoing brain cancer treatment, were expelled from the United States into Mexico. In the last few days, Dr. Rasha Alawieh, a transplant physician and Brown University Medical School professor who has a valid visa, was deported to Lebanon in apparent willful defiance of a court order. Senator, Congresswoman, what is your plan to stop these injustices and to keep these violations of free speech and constitutional rights from being expanded and used against American citizens? We know that Marco Rubio has stated he would love to deport American citizens who are political dissidents to El Salvadoran prisons. What are you doing to stop this overreach, the violation of the rights of Dr. Alawieh, those children, Mahmoud Khalil, and potentially many more green card holders and American citizens? So I read that question to Maxine Dexter's aide, and she said she just wanted to remind me that after that original letter that 14 members of Congress signed on to, there was a second letter that was sent demanding the release of Mahmoud Khalil, and she signed on to that second letter, as did several other members of Congress. She then went on to say the Congresswoman is deeply concerned about the issues around deportation and the violation of the constitutional rights of our visa holders, of our permanent residents, and potentially American citizens. And so she takes it very, very seriously. It is of paramount concern to her. And I was really grateful. I mean, obviously, I knew she had it on her radar. And I think it's important to remember that just because you think you and your rep are aligned, you still need to call and give your opinion so that they can have it on record that they have support of their constituents. So that was my first question. And then we find out today that there were flights of folks who were sent to El Salvador in direct violation of court orders. That right now the Trump regime is doing what is the epitome of creating a constitutional crisis, willfully defying court orders, knowingly defying court orders. And what exacerbates that constitutional crisis is that Congress has the ability to stop him. It is now the job of Congress to step in and impeach the president, but every Republican member of Congress is in the pocket of fascism, is being either fully supportive of Trump or they are scared to defy him. So as a result of their cruelty and corruption or their cowardice, Congress is not willing to do its constitutional duty and impeach the president. So the courts may be ruling in favor of the law, in favor of the Constitution, in favor of the people, but we are now seeing the executive branch is willfully defying legal orders from the judicial branch. And the legislative branch is refusing to come in and use their constitutional authority to check that overreach. Which brings me to the second question that I was going to ask the senator and the congresswoman. So Senator Wyden, one, he did not attend Trump's speech. He gave his own virtual town hall, which I attended and I made a video about. It was very good. It was very good. And then secondarily, he voted no on cloture and no on the continuing resolution. He was originally like waffling at a previous town hall. He'd said, I think shutting down the government is a really bad idea. I think that we need to keep the government open, not at all costs, but he kind of said, like, we really need to keep it open. But he listened to the overwhelming feedback from his constituents and from other folks in the political sphere, political experts who were like, you cannot allow a green light for the slush fund for Elon Musk to use to dismantle democracy. He, unlike Schumer and Gillibrand and Shaheen, etc., he listened to the Federal Employees Union, which said Elon Musk has already been shutting down the government starting January 20th. We are already in a rolling government shutdown, and Elon Musk wants to make that permanent. And that it would be better to not greenlight what he is doing. It would be better to have a temporary shutdown than to pass the continuing resolution. So I'm very grateful that Ron listened and that he voted no. I'm even more grateful for Jeff Merkley, our other senator, who has been all over the news, has been very aggressive and outspoken against the Trump regime and was outspokenly no for the continuing resolution. Representative Bynum also voted no with every other Democrat in the House, except for one. They all voted no. She said that the continuing resolution was straight trash and should not be passed. So I want to give them props right away, okay? But here's my question, my backup question in case someone asked my first one. What is the plan now that the continuing resolution has passed the Senate? What is your strategy to protect your constituents here in Oregon and the American people from the damage that Donald Trump, the GOPs in Congress, and Elon Musk will carry out? The damage that they will cause that is being directly funded by the creation of this slush fund. A slush fund that unelected ketamine addict Elon Musk will use to dismantle the federal government and American society. What are you all going to do to protect us, protect our constitutional rights and our democracy? So unfortunately, nobody asked those questions, but I think it's really important that we speak to each other about what our questions and concerns are, about what our constituents are doing, what's happening in this country, what's happening in Congress, and that we take the time to email and call our electeds and make sure that our questions, our concerns are heard.